Hey everybody, he's back! Hi, Jeanette here. Welcome to my channel, and we're here again in Gary's kitchen. Here's my dad, Gary. I'm sure you guys are all excited to see him back, and what are we doing today?
Well, I thought we'd make a summer cookout today. We're going to have some some spicy sausage and hot dogs and some potato salad we're going to make because it's so nice outside in mid-October here in the Northeast. And I love summertime, and I used to love hot dogs and sausage, but so I decided to make something I could eat that's just as good, and it really is. So that's what we're going to do.
Okay. Yep, so we'll get started. What are we doing?
Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, before we start cooking, we need one ingredient, and this is the big change for Gary's Kitchen. The big change. I switched from Clemson Ale to Johnny Lawrence beer.
If anybody's familiar with, I think it's the Karate Kid, right? The new series.
I don't watch that crap, so it was, yes, I think so. Very good. We're gonna make some sausage and some hot dogs, and come on with me and I'll show you how we do it. Okay, first of all, I start by, I had some roasted seitan that I made into sausage rolls. And this, I ground this up in my blender. I made some quinoa, just some white quinoa that I boiled it in some ground up beet juice, and that gave it this red color. So this is just regular quinoa.
We actually you've got videos on how to do the seitan and how to do the quinoa, because you use those in your no crap burgers.
No crap burgers, correct.
Yep, so I will put links to those in the description box down below.
Okay, so we mixed them together. Now, this is the sausage mixture right here that I made a little while ago. I added some garlic, a little onion powder, Italian seasonings, a little pepper, some fennel seed. Now with it, I just put some flax seed with a little bit of water. I put some seasoned breadcrumbs in there. You can season them any way you'd like, but some smoked paprika, some garlic powder, onion powder, everything but the kitchen sink in there. It's actually better if you do this and keep put in the fridge overnight. It helps it to incorporate and stay together a little bit better. So we're going to make these into sausages. You can make them as big or as small as you would like. I like to take a spurtle and it helps form them all the way around.
For folks that don't know what a spurtle is, it's this paddle looking thing. It's kind of like a spatula and a long spoon, right?
And they have different sizes. There's a completed sausage. Now, in order to make this recipe, because we're going to use a casing on this, is I cook these first. I bake them at 400 degrees, probably about 10 minutes to 15 minutes, just so they get a little bit crusty and firm. And I have some cooked ones over here. Here's a cooked sausage right here.
It got crispy.
Got a little bit crispy and pretty firm. And this is the one that we're actually going to make into wrap our casing around. So what we need for our casing is some spring roll wrappers. So in order to soften these things like a sheet of plastic, you have to moisten them up, but you don't want to moisten them to the point where they're like a piece of wet toilet paper. You want to get them just pliable enough so they'll roll. So what I do is this is some of my extra beet juice that I had left over from the quinoa when I cooked the quinoa. And I'm going to just coat.
Because these will soften up with the addition of a little bit of water or, you know, broth or whatever.
And you don't have to use beet juice. You can use anything you'd like, but just don't get them too awfully wet.
And how'd you make the beet juice?
Just to put a whole can of beets, liquid and all, right into the blender and blend it up. And add a little bit of water. It gets kind of thick at times. A little bit of water to thin it out, especially when you're cooking the quinoa, because the quinoa will absorb it better if it's not so thick. Not much water, maybe a half a cup is all to a can of beets. So now we're getting to the point where we can, this is actually pretty pliable. So I'm going to take our sausage now. The key thing here that I've worked on is you don't want to get too much of a wrap around. Just one wrap is fine. And cut the excess off. Just mold it around here tightly.
Because if you don't cut it off, you get what happens?
It looks like a bag. Okay, so I've got my rolled up sausage, and I'm gonna put it back in the oven, bake it at about 400 degrees, and you just have to keep an eye on it. You don't want it to burn, but you want it just to get firm and a little bit hard on the outside, just like a sausage casing. So. Now we're going to get ready to make our hot dog mixture, which is a little bit different. Here I've got seitan, and I'm going to put a little bit more quinoa with it.
So that's the ground up seitan and the quinoa,
Yep.
just like you did with the...
Yes, exactly. Well, I went online and just looked for... Hot dogs are one of the worst foods you can ever eat. So I went on and looked what kind of what spices are in there to make them taste good, and I found a lot of it is actually, you need some garlic powder. Normally would use the rest of this container, but not now. Touch of onion powder. Need a little bit of MSG. A little bit of coriander. And some mace. Not the type of mace you spray at somebody. You don't need a lot. And we'll mix it up. And a few seasoned breadcrumbs. A little bit more. Here's our hot dog ready to cook. Now I've got a couple that are already cooked.
Again, you run them through the air fryer or oven?
Yep, just
Crisp
400
them up.
degrees for, they don't take long. I mean, it just holds them together nicely. All right, so we're gonna take one of these plastic things. Thought it was some beet juice.
Kind of relaxing to watch.
Tried coating my feet with this once. It is not pretty relaxing. Try to keep it a tight roll if you can. And just mold this together. When you put these on a bun with relish or regular mustard and onions, whatever, the crunchiness is what you notice, just like a regular, that snap to a regular hot dog, and that's what you get with this. So if it looks like a hot dog bag, don't worry about it a little bit. It'll it'll taste good. I'll just put more mustard in it. Okay, so that we're going to cook the same as we're cooking. Let's take a look at our. Oh, that's done. Okay, so. Let her cook.
All right, so while we're waiting for the hot dog to cook, we'll just say a little note about MSG. Glutamate is what's perceived as savory on the tongue, and it occurs naturally in a lot of foods like onions, I believe soy sauce, things like tomatoes, I believe. Savory foods, it's a savory note, and it has kind of a salty.
A little bit, so you're not supposed to use much of it. There's no monosodium glutinous in this.
So if you're sensitive to MSG, you could substitute, I would think, something like Bragg's liquid aminos, soy sauce, or leave it out altogether, right? And just season it with some salt and pepper or something.
Yes, I mean, it's to your taste. I mean, once you make these a few times, I'm sure you'll change some of the ingredients, add, take away. It's just how to cook them that I worked on for a while and got away from the hot dog bags, which were disgusting.
We are not food purists, okay? We adopted a plant-based diet to try to improve our health, but we are foodies, really through and through. We love food, we love flavors, we love colors, and we like to experiment with food. And we're not afraid to use that kind of stuff and just experiment like this. So that's just who we are.
Oh, my hot dog.
What are we doing?
I thought you were filming a hot dog. So now we're going to make some summer potato salad. I made some salt potatoes. They're very popular in the Northeast. For those of you who think that cooking potatoes and salt is bad, who wants a lesson on salt potatoes? I do. So Jeanette, would you mind telling people where salt potatoes came from?
Okay, so I actually have a video or two about salt potatoes that I'll link down in the description box below, but we believe salt potatoes originated from the Irish immigrants that were working here in the salt mines here in the Syracuse area.
That's why it's called the Salt City.
That's why we're called the Salt City. So we believe these Irish workers brought bags of potatoes to work and boiled them in the salt water and ate them for lunch. And with all the salt that's in the water, it actually does not make the potatoes salty. It actually works to form a crust on the outside of the potato skins, and it imparts a really nice flavor to them, and the inside stays nice and creamy. So they are a classic here in central New York. They're very popular. If you're from this area, you know all about these.
When they were in the salt mines eating lunch, they had a couple Johnny Lawrence beers.
They didn't.
And that's why they have so many Irish pubs in the Syracuse area, because of the salt mines. Okay, so now we all know where our salt potatoes come from. So I cooked them last night, put them in the fridge. When they got cold, I cut them into chunks and made, that's 4 potatoes right there. You can use red potatoes, anything, just put some salt in the water to salt it up. So now I made some mayonnaise, and this is incredibly simple. All I did is I took a block of extra firm tofu and threw that in the blender. Put just a touch of almond milk in there, about 5 or 6 tablespoons of rice vinegar, seasoned rice vinegar, just a very small touch of salt. You don't need any salt in it, but then blended it all up. I'm sorry, I also put about a tablespoon of mustard in it. And it gives it a nice sweet flavor to the mayonnaise. And then we're going to add some accoutrements to it. Now we've got a combo here, some celery, some diced up roasted red peppers, and some green chilies right out of a can. just a touch of pepper, just a touch of garlic, a little bit of onion. I need a screwdriver again. They should come with screwdrivers right to the side. They should have a fold-out screwdriver on these.
Like something to chisel that out of there?
Yes.
It's very good.
The best thing about making this stuff is you have to eat it. Some hot dog rolls, I made these this morning in my spare time. Put a hot dog in one and a sausage. Supposed to open these damn things first. Sorry. They should have that right on the outside telling you what to do. You gotta open them first. I'm not an engineer. For those of you who put ketchup on a hot dog, you can do it, just don't let me know about it. Okay, Jeanette, there's your hot dog.
This is the hot dog. It's not bad. And this one is the sausage. Looks very similar. This is phenomenal. The aroma hits you right away.
So is the mustard on the floor.
Don't stuff it.
You can cook, like I said, you can cook these on the grill. Just get a little bit of grill mark on them, but don't overcook them because the spring rolls do get a little gummy. Get them nice and firm, so when you bite into them, you get that snap. And just like a real sausage. And wash it down with a Johnny Lawrence beer, and you have a cookout.
All right, so if you're still having nice weather like we are in upstate New York and you want to hang on to summer a little bit longer and have a cookout, these are some great options for you. Everything is really tasty. So good job, Dad.
Well, thank you. One thing we didn't cover that maybe we can in the next one is how to make white hots. We call them conies up here. It's not like Coney Island hot dogs. They're white hot dogs. They're made of pork and veal and some other junk they put in them, and they're white. And they call them snappy grillers because of the skin. It's got that snap and a little bit of bite to it when you. They call them white hots in Rochester, but they also call hot dogs Zweigels in Rochester, so they don't know what hot dogs really are. We're hot dog professionals up here in the central New York area. And I'll make those white hots out of soy curls, ground up soy curls with some of the same ingredients that we put in our hot dogs, and make the casing the same. We'll see how those turn out. I haven't tried to make them yet, but I'll make chicken wings out of them if they turn into a disaster. So maybe that's for next time, but enjoy your hot dogs and sausage. They're pretty good.
All right. So thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed another episode of Gary's Kitchen. Everybody take care, and we will see you in the next video. Bye.
How come my shirt's backwards?